Ba-da-dum-dum-dum. Yo, guys, I have 2 buckets here. What is the difference? Well, I'll tell you. You might not be able to see it, but one has a grit guard and one doesn't. All right, 1 bucket army. Today we're going to be asking the question, do you need a grit guard? No. All right, guys, it was good talking to you. I'll see you later. Y'all know I'm just messing with that one. We gotta at least take 5-6 minutes explaining this kind of a thing. Like, do you actually need one in order to do a good job washing cars or literally anything like that? Short answer, no. We can discuss it a little bit and I can kind of explain why it's not necessary given that you do certain things while you're detailing. So, wow. That made no sense. So first, let's think about what is the point of a grit guard, right? So it sits at the bottom of your bucket, and what it does is it allows there to be some water that's still at the bottom that when dirt falls into the bucket, it goes through the grit guard and sits at the bottom. And so if you do put, your cleaning towel in there or your wash mitt in there, it won't pick up that dirt again because it's trapped under this grit guard. That's the idea with the grit guard. What? I guess my grit guard was cracked. Oh well. This idea with the grit guard is that it keeps all of that dirt trapped under here, and so you won't have any issues with picking up dirt out of your bucket. A grit guard's really good if you're reusing a bucket. Like, let's say I have a wash mitt in here and I just go in to wash the wash mitt after, every time I'm done using it, and so I'm getting dirt back in it, so I go to wash the car, and then I throw it into this bucket to rinse it off, and then I go and wash the car again. That's where a grit guard would be useful. The thing that's kind of annoying about a grit guard is if you're throwing stuff into the bucket to store after, you have less room because the grit guard gets in the way. And you're also spending money on it. So there's 2 things to grit guards that make it a little inconvenient, but they're usually pretty cheap to buy anyways, so it's like, you just pick one up with your bucket or something along those lines. You usually have a couple grit guards and a couple buckets ready to go. And in my case, I got 2 buckets, 2 grit guards. I have a little more than 2 buckets. A bit of a bucket addiction. But for all you guys who care, all 400 of you, 400. Look at this. This is a sight to behold. The army. If each of you guys was a bucket, that's what it would look like. Just saying. But looking at the necessity for a grit guard, it's not really as much of a thing anymore given, the certain wash methods that you can do. And so us being the 1 bucket army, we don't reuse rags. We just have 1 bucket with a bunch of nice washed rags and we only use them once. And so we want as maximum storage and cost savings. I was actually thinking about this recently because I had grit guards and I was like, man, these kind of just like get in the way. They're making it so when I try to throw a bunch of towels in there or tools, like I can't put as many as I'd like in there. And so I recently had an epiphany, much like Einstein himself or Socrates. Yeah, I knew him. Yeah, I had that epiphany, and so now I don't really need or have a use for grit guards. The only thing that I would say they are useful for is stirring up the soap in a bucket when you're getting water in there. So like you can like wash it around. Here, I'll show you. So you can kind of go like this, and it'll help to agitate all that soap up and get it all bubbly. That's the only real use I've had for it lately. But other than that, it's just kind of something that more gets in the way than it does help. So next time you're thinking about picking up some buckets or a grit guard, or if you're new to this kind of stuff, you don't necessarily have to. It just depends on how you're gonna go about cleaning your car and all of that kind of good stuff. So there are a couple other benefits that I failed to mention in the video. One being that you're only using 1 singular bucket, or sorry. So there are a couple of other benefits to not using grit guards, and that is because you're not using grit guards, you don't consider them to be something you can rely on. And so you're using 1 bucket to wash, right? So you use less water, it takes less time to fill it up. You got more room in the bucket as well that you can wash soak your mitts in. And yeah, I guess just the water was the main thing. Using less water is a pretty big deal. It'll take like half the time to get it all loaded up, which is kind of sick. So 1 bucket wash method all the way, baby. I'm always about the 1 bucket method. So I like doing it, doing it the easy way and just having one singular bucket that I fill with water and nice clean rags. Wow. Pretty little short video. That's all. Why do I hear that music? Anyway, what the hell? Somehow a bug landed on my hand when I was doing that. All right, guys, later. But seriously though, there's actually 450 buckets. I had an AI generate this image for me. So a lot of buckets here. Dang, that's a lot of buckets, guys. That's you and me. 1 bucket army, out. I love you guys.